You spoke a lot earlier about building a fan base and getting the customer stuff right and building a brand for the customer rather than forcing your brand on the customer. Can you tell us a little bit how you achieved that and made it happen, and what you did differently first time to second time?
Sure. So I mean, I think in the first evolution of the business, it was really about me wanting to impose my vision on the world. I wanted everything to be clean, Helvetica, and designs that I liked, and things like that. But customers don't want to do that. They want to design things their own way. They want their photographs on the product. They want whatever they think is great design. So I went from a sort of dictatorship to more of a kind of democracy as far as that was concerned, and really started to think about what the customer wanted. And as soon as I started introducing those tools, the business really started to take off. So critical point to listen to the customer, and to, it needs to be a fine balance. The Henry Ford quote, he would have, if he'd listened to his customers, he would have built a faster horse, not a motor car. So I think it does need to be a balance between kind of doing the obvious thing and innovating. But you definitely have to listen to the customer, for sure.
And you evolve your business constantly, and it's one of those areas. You are from a creative background yourself. How do you stay focused on actually what you're doing? Because it's clearly a business where you could very easily, like most, get distracted into all sorts of things.
I think this is the killer of most small businesses, other than running out of money, but I think one precipitates the other. You've got to figure out what the most important thing is for the business. Whether that's a route to profitability, or defining the product, completing the product, fixing problems, whatever that is. From my perspective, we focused, and then we defocused and focused and defocused, and I think that's the natural progression of things. So you focus on a singular vision, on a goal, and then you do a bit of trial, and you try a few different things to see where your next traction is going to come from. The initial vision of the business was, personal cards. We then launched things like greeting cards and stickers. So we tried some other markets. And actually the last major product that we launched was actually about this time last year when we launched business cards, which isn't a significant evolution really from a personal card, but that's the product now that's really driving the business. I mean, that's a huge market where we happen to be doing things that are much more exciting and much more innovative than most of the players in there. So we're in a big market. There's already traction. There's a built-in demand for this thing. We're just doing it in a smarter, more interesting way than our other major competitors.
So I've heard you talk before, and you've talked about how you've had to, or could you tell us how you've had to sort of basically kick a very traditional industry into web shape?
I wouldn't say we've kicked it in any meaningful way. We've certainly tried to be different, and the word that we use internally, and have done ever since the beginning, is remarkable. So we try and make things that are different enough so that someone will make a comment about it, someone will tell someone about it. So if it's a business card, we try and make it great quality, really nice designs, the variable print technology that we use, the packaging. So it's not so much trying to reinvent the way in which it's used. I think that's a tradition that's going to be with us for a long time yet. People talking about virtual business cards and beaming information from Palms or from iPhones to other devices. And there are loads of reasons why that stuff doesn't work. I mean, the biggest reason is the fact that half the world still doesn't have a mobile phone. The great thing about a business card is that it doesn't require batteries, there's no technology problem, it's universal. So we're not trying to reinvent the market, we're just trying to do something that's a little bit different, that's a little bit cooler than the boring old business cards that have been around for hundreds of years before us.
And you've opened up an office in the US. As a UK company, how did you go around that from just deciding where to put yourselves to just getting it all going?
Well, we had great traction in the US from the first day. So even from literally the first week, we shipped a great deal of our products to the US. Probably even then, probably about the same. 40 to 50% of our customers were coming from North America. So we knew that we had traction there, and a lot of the partners that we launched with were US centric, or had a strong US customer base. We launched an office there earlier this year because being on the ground and being able to serve those customers much better, shipping from the UK to San Francisco or LA, it's an extremely long way away, and it's just going to take longer to get to the customer than it would if we were on the ground. And of course, the shipping options available to them, if they want an expedited service, are going to be much more expensive. So we knew that from a margin perspective, from a service perspective, being on the ground in the US was absolutely critical. So we launched, or we decided to launch, and we had a VP of operations who joined the business fairly early, who was actually from the States. So he literally went back to the US to start that business for us. So we had someone who knew the business, who was just setting up the office and kind of growing out of a seed that we had originally planted in the UK and growing it there in the US. So all of the culture and everything was an extension of our UK business.
Do you have any challenges moving over to the US or setting up in the US?
Yeah, it's extremely challenging. I mean, we're a manufacturing business as well, so we had to teach our US partners exactly how to make everything. We had to train staff in the very exacting and sort of perfectionist standards that we have as a business. So it wasn't without effort. It took us 3 or 4 months to actually migrate the technology to 2 different stores. So we have a US store, online store, and a UK online store with different SKUs in each one, different prices, and different, all sorts of different, bells and whistles that need to fit that exact market, that exact site. We lost our Google ranking as a result. We've got 2 sites now that rank differently in different locations for our key search terms. But it's been a spectacular move, obviously, being on the ground from a customer's perspective, at the very least. The customer is getting a considerably better service from us than ever before. And that's the way round that you should do it. The fact that the margins are better and all the rest of it is great, but the customer is getting a better service, and that's what's really important.
And are you looking to, you guys going to be moving elsewhere from the US, going out to Asia?
I think let's see if we can dominate the US market first. I mean, it's a very fragmented, very big market. The markets that we're in, primarily the business card market. It's tens of billions of pounds a year across the world. And I think our focus is going to mostly be on North America and probably Western Europe. I mean, the site is translated into French, Italian, German and Spanish as well as English. So I think we'll focus on those. I think there's so much more growth potential in those existing regions. And I think us owning slices of those, meaningful large slices of those markets is the most important next step.
You mentioned earlier that the recession has had an interesting effect. You guys get some interesting random data that you can put in. What have you been seeing in terms of stats on that side?
We saw a huge increase in the word consultant being used on our business cards. We track a lot of the words that people are using, so we get a sense of who our customer is. So words like consultant and CEO and founder, a lot more of those words being introduced on the cards. People who've left bigger organisations, have started their own companies, tired of working for these bigger companies, or had no choice at all. So I think that watching those kinds of new words coming out to help us also refine our product set, so making sure that we're focusing on the right kind of product development to suit those customers. But generally speaking, the recession's been extremely good for us. And what I like, that seems kind of a mean thing, but the great thing is that Moo is manufacturing products that actually help people win business. Traditionally business cards are about information transferal. Ours are very, very visual, high design, great quality. And for someone who's trying to make it be remembered, sort of stand out in a sales situation, having a product that's as much a marketing tool as it is a piece of information transferal, I think is really important.
To an extent, it's great to see that in a recession people are enabling themselves a lot more, not just sitting back. They're actually getting out there and products that help them get through that.
Absolutely. I think a recession is all about survival, right? And we provide a service where you can cut out the middleman. You don't have to go to a designer with very little talent or skill. You can come to us, customize a product and order it, and it'll be shipped out to you in a matter of days. And I think that the cost and the process you would go through in the traditional model of printing, where you'd go to a designer or you go directly to a printer or a high street retailer, and it would be prohibitively expensive. We're talking hundreds of pounds to make something that's essentially very simple. We've designed technology and operations that allow us to scale that out and make it much cheaper for the end user. So hopefully they'll benefit from lowering their costs and having a high impact piece of marketing to help them and their business grow.
It seems very obvious now you've done it.
It's easy to join the dots backwards. as Steve Jobs has said.
What's new for Moo? What are you going to be doing next? What's the next stage for you guys?
So we're a relatively big organisation today. We're about 50 people, and I think the challenges for us are just sustaining the growth that we've established. We're growing at a triple-digit annual basis in terms of revenue. We'd like to sustain that and keep going. We're looking to become a serious player in the business card market. We're printing millions of business cards a month. I'd like to see us be printing millions of business cards an hour. That would be a nice place to be, and it's a great big target to go after. But that even probably wouldn't be scratching the surface of the size of the market. So we'd like to be, number one, number two, number three in the business card market. I think it's a fascinating market. It's one that is filled with mediocre products, and we'd like to build something that people really genuinely are proud to hand out, not ashamed or embarrassed to hand out.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.